If you call yourself a Christian, I just read something in 1 Peter that I think you really need to hear because some people may not know. So it reads in 1 Peter 4 verse 17, "For the time has come for judgment, and it must begin with God's household." Do y'all know how serious that is? An example, parents are going to punish their own kids more than they would punish anyone else's kids because they were the ones that raised them. And it continues, "If judgment begins with us, what terrible fate awaits those who have never obeyed God's good news?" And also, if the righteous are barely saved, what will happen to the godless sinners? So listen, you can call yourself a Christian all day long, but God is saying, are you following me? It says the righteous are barely saved, meaning it's hard to be seen as righteous by God. Yes, without Jesus, none of this would even be possible. Y'all remember it says in Matthew 7 verse 21, "Not everyone who calls out to me, 'Lord, Lord,' will enter the kingdom of heaven. Only those who actually do the will of my Father in heaven will enter." It says in verse 23, "But I will reply, I never knew you. Get away from me, you who break God's law." God takes his law very seriously, just like the government takes law seriously. And you will be punished if you break the law. There's a reason God said in Matthew 7 verse 13, you can enter God's kingdom only through the narrow gate. The highway to hell is broad and his gate is wide for many who choose that way. It says in verse 14, "But the gateway to life is very narrow and the road is difficult and only a few ever find it." God never said this walk with him was going to be easy. He warned us that it was going to be difficult. But he said, if we flip back to 1 Peter, it says in verse 14, "So be happy when you are insulted for being a Christian." Verse 16 says, "Praise God for the privilege of being called by his name." Y'all, this is not a time to be dabbling a little bit in the world and dabbling a little bit in God. God said it's very difficult that few find him. And if you want to be in that few, you have to do what few people are doing. Today, tomorrow, the next hour is not promised. So stop acting like it is. If you've been a lukewarm Christian, you gotta make a choice. And when you refuse to make a choice, God will make it for you.